You're listening to a Rock Candy podcast.
Hey, I'm Joe, and I'm a composer and a musician.
That's why we call you the maestro. And I'm Will. I'm a literal doctor.
But don't trust this guy with your ailments.
No, I study comic books, but it still counts.
We're a couple of creative kids who host a podcast called Common Creatives.
We dig deep into filmmakers, musicians, books, and characters, really all types of artistic works and the people who make them.
We break apart the art we love to see what makes it tick.
Basically, we give you the definitive take on whatever or whoever we're discussing. All opinions are definitive and final.
So check out Common Creatives wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to the 11 Life podcast.
What's up, everybody? Matt here. Welcome to this week's episode of 11 Life. I cannot be happier to have you here with us this week. We have an absolutely amazing show coming up for you. I get to have an incredible conversation with the one and only Spaceman Jones. But before we do that, let's check in with each other really quick. Are you okay? How are you feeling? What is your heart saying? What is your mind saying? Are they saying the same things? Are they at conflict with one another? Are you constantly replaying random ass conversations that you had with people last week and wondering if you said the right thing, if you gave the right impression, if you made the right decision? If that's you, you're just as neurotic as I am. Congratulations. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to let you know that I see you and I've felt the things that you have felt. I'm a chronic overthinker, just like you probably are. And it has been a busy week here at the Rock Candy Studios in beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. And we're still moving, and you're still moving. And maybe we're moving together. Maybe today you need to hear from somebody that you are not just your thoughts. You are not just your failures. You are not just the things that you constantly obsess over at night before you go to sleep. In fact, you are so much more than that. You are made out of this same stuff that the absolute farthest reaches of the universe are made of. Take a minute, take a deep breath. You have a song inside of you. It's waiting to come out, and it won't wait around forever. Say yes and to that song. To all of the parts of you that are keeping you stressed out, that are trying to protect you from danger, from uncomfortability. We don't always have to fight them. We can thank them. There are parts of me that will keep me stressed out forever to try to protect me from something that's uncomfortable or hurtful, and the best way to calm them down is to love them. So let me encourage you that all the parts of yourself that you feel like cause you pain, that keep you caught in these cycles, that keep you stressed out and worrying and wondering, thank them for trying to help. Thank them for the situations they've kept you out of. You can love them back into their box. That's been a helpful practice for me today. I hope that it will do the same thing for you. Huge hugs and high fives to everybody over at the 11 Live Facebook group. I love you. You're beautiful looking, and I hope that we get to hang out sometime this year. I hope shows become a thing soon. You guys are the absolute best, and I'm so thankful to have you in my life, that you listen to the music that I make, that you listen to the weird, crazy ass ideas that I have. I'm grateful for you. For those of you who don't know, a few months ago, we released a brand new single called Hellmouth, and it had a feature on it by an incredible artist named Spaceman Jones. It's the very first time that we ever worked together on a track. And per usual, I was a little bit too quick to get down to business and start working on things instead of taking the time and the pleasure of getting to know somebody. And that's exactly what I did on today's episode. I had an amazing conversation with the one and only Spaceman Jones. Let me tell you something. We got to talk about creativity. We got to talk about tarot cards. We got to talk about the divine dance of existence being told through the narrative of wrestling. God, it was so much fun, and I feel so grateful to have been able to spend this time with Spaceman. I hope that you have as much fun listening to this conversation as I had having it. Per usual, thank you to all of the wonderful people here at Rock Candy Recordings. You guys are the best. The studio is booking up time this spring, so if you have an album that you need mixed, or you have production work that you want done, or you have songs that you're ready to write and have produced, hey, give us a call. Drop us a line, rockcandyrecordings.com, because we love working with fellow creators, artists, and magicians of sound. If you're listening to this in your car right now, be sure to smile at the next person you end up at a stoplight next to. Make them wonder why you're so happy. Big unicorn magic and love to all of our 11 Life family. I hope that you guys like this episode. Hey, dude.
Hey, man. Can you hear me pretty good?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
All right. Awesome. Good.
Sweet. Let me set this here real quick.
All right.
Is this your house?
Yeah.
That's a really pretty tapestry you have behind you there.
It's the universe, man.
I love it.
It's all about astrology, man.
Yeah. Where did you get that?
This is actually something that my partner actually had kicking around, and she has no idea where she got it from. So we're like, I don't know where this came from, but it's sure enough cool to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a set of headphones that you could put in?
Let me go see if I can grab some. I got some in here somewhere. I don't know where the hell they went to. My good old 205 HDs. These things.
There it is.
These things been around forever.
I believe that.
I don't even hardly use them anymore since I don't mix in this room or do anything but just make beats and write songs. Not even a functioning. I don't even try to get my beats to sound good. I just try to get it to where it's gonna be, and then send it. Okay, all right. I can hear you. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that takes care of all the feedback and everything.
Yeah.
So, killer. Well, I am so happy that we're getting to do this today, man. How have you been over the last few months?
There's been some just like all parts of life, man. Some constricting, some expansion. You know, that little dance that we do, trying to keep everything going smoothly. So there's been ups and downs. There's been, but for the most part, we've been very, very blessed to nobody's gotten sick. And we've been able to pay our bills, and we've been able to just maintain what we had going, really. So that's great.
I love that, man.
How about you?
I mean, it's been a little bit crazy because I feel like there are a lot of things we wanted to do with the band and Rock Candy and everything this year that we weren't able to do. We were supposed to do a tour in Japan at the beginning of the year, and that didn't happen. But that's also that's just a privileged thing. You know what I mean? Like, what's the worst fucking thing that can happen when we don't get to go play shows?
Exactly. Yeah, we had a lot of stuff that we had to, we were going to expand with the wrestling company that I co-own. We were going to expand pretty aggressively this year, and we had to cancel everything. So that was like major blows, stuff that we had already kind of been invested in. But like you said, it's a privileged point of view.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, because when you were here in the studio and we were doing that track together, we talked a little bit about the wrestling stuff, but that's something that you're super passionate about. And a lot of my friends are kind of work in some of those circles as well. And I'm just kind of wondering how you ended up kind of getting into the whole wrestling thing.
Well, I've been watching wrestling. I'm a kid I grew up here in Asheville. So Saturday nights, my family, we watched wrestling. Yeah. And I was into it from a young child, kind of fell out of watching it for a while. Just because of life and whatnot. But I always loved it. And so I have a very good friend who is now my co-owner in Urban Combat Wrestling, Mook the BTSG, Marcus Cunningham. We were in a program called Inside Out that was kind of teaching local musicians the ins and outs, particulars of the music business as far as like publishing and how to send an email to get yourself booked, and what is a stage plot, and how do you send a tech pack, like all of these different things that you have to know in order to kind of make it in the music business on a local level. Anyway, dealing with all things in the music industry, performance, and so we went in that class. Shout out to Jessica Thomason. Shout out to Next Malin. Who put that thing on and kind of smoothed it out for us and made it very, very, it was a help to everybody who was in the class.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can actually see like the plot of that class or the results of that class. Cause in our group it was myself, it was Mook, it was Po Folk, it was Michael Martinez from the Natural Born Leaders, Jonathan Santos, who else was in that class? Deuce was in. All of these are people who are kind of like moving pretty well around in the music industry and whatever entertainment venture they chose to be in.
Right.
So we were just very happy to be a part of that. And me and Mook used to hook up, and I've been making beats for a while, and we would try to make music, but we would never get to the music. We would just be talking about wrestling the whole time. And He was actually actively wrestling. He was down in East Tennessee at the School of Morton, which is ran by Ricky Morton, world famous wrestler from the Rock and Roll Express from the 80s, NWA fame. And so he finally talked me into going down. It took him, a year to talk me into going to the school, but finally drove down with him. And from the first day, I was absolutely hooked, and it was a good match because the school had some things that I needed. Of course, I learned everything that I really know about the wrestling business from Ricky Morton, James Strange, and the guys who were down there doing their thing. And it was something. It's kind of like you see some people. I picked up on it very quickly. And we were able to I helped out with the production down there as far as helping out with storylines. And I was actually on screen, like commentary and doing interviews and whatnot. Really got a first class education in what you need to do to run a wrestling promotion. And it was a lot of the skill sets that I already had from promoting shows around town. It's like you get a concept. You have to, have a budget for it. You got to be able to kind of build it in a way where people are going to be intrigued by whatever you put on. And so,
of course.
And just being able to manage people, places, and things. And, it was something that I was already kind of had my foot wet in from promoting shows, but it was just a different skill set. And then, of course, learning about the ins and outs of wrestling and how we create a show that's so enthralling, because there's a very specific skill set there, and there's certain things that work inside of that genre of wrestling that you got to understand. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a huge, big learning curve that I'm still stuck in the middle of, and I'm so glad that I have people who are so much smarter than me that are around me that believe in this vision too. So there's a great team that we have. And we were able to kind of mix what we learned at the School of Morton about professional wrestling with our own, let's say, our own promotion and marketing skills. And we were able to kind of create a perfect storm where we would cross-pollinate the entertainment value of the wrestling, the entertainment value of what we already did musically. And we kind of cross-pollinated that with the people who were coming to Spaceman Jones and the Mothership shows anyway. And it was kind of like, they dug what we were doing, and it was an experiment that had a very happy result. And I think that we have been able to, in a short time, really insert ourselves into the mind of Asheville. Like, people are waiting for UCW shows to come back because it's such a good time.
I think that's absolutely true. I feel like I hear folks talking about what you guys are doing, and I feel like you've got a really strong social media presence, particularly like for the Asheville area. I know that we have a ton of listeners who don't really know anything about the Asheville area, but I love highlighting these kinds of things because I feel like it's a draw. Like it's a very specific manifestation of the art and theatrics that are very distinctly Asheville and representative of the different facets of culture here. I'm super interested in what it is about this sport that draws you personally. Like, what is that thing pulling on your heartstrings that you identify with?
It is the story. It is being able to tell the grand story, the story that's in all the holy books, the story that's in all the comic books, the story that's in all the movies, all the sitcoms. Every story is the story of good versus evil, or like the struggle of somebody to gain a goal. That's what we tell. That's the story that we tell in professional wrestling. That's the story that it resonates with everybody, because it's the story of us. It's the story of human beings. It's the story of, even if you want to go kind of religious, it's the story of how things came into creation, because there was from a metaphysical viewpoint, it was a mighty struggle to get things that are not matter into matter. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's like a big struggle, even though we have to like fancy it up, because if you talk about it in purely academic terms, it's dry as a piece of toast. So we add factors to it. We add in wrestling, we add a championship belt, which is the representation of the symbol of what's good and holy and right.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? It's like the princess in the castle when you playing Mario Brothers. You see what I'm saying? And so we create stories around the titles, or we create stories based on the conflicts between people.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? And and for me, the best way that professional wrestling works is that you have to have a clearly defined good guy and a clearly defined bad guy. And the more kind of gross the contrast is, the better it works.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
So we try to work along that edge, and we try to like stay pretty true to kind of storytelling 101. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You have to have that tension of, well, he might make it, he might not make it. You have to have the tension, especially in professional wrestling, that the odds are supremely stacked against our hero. And there should be no way that he should come back. And there should even be a point to where he dies in the story almost. You see what I'm saying?
The Dark Night of the Soul.
The Dark Night of the Soul, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell or not.
Oh,
but
yeah, man. I love
The Hero's Journey.
Yeah, man.
Gosh.
I'm
so on board with everything that you're saying right now. I was not expecting for your answer to essentially be the divine dance of creation that draws you to this.
That's the story. That's why we're drawn to comic books. That's why we're drawn to things that's outside of ourselves, that's bigger, because it's symbols of things that are in operation all the time. But they can't be talked about directly or pointed to directly, or you can pervert them completely. We see that in mainstream religion. You see what I'm saying?
Oh my God, yes.
So we try in our small little way in professional wrestling, at least my philosophy on the story part of it. Now, there's a lot of other things that go into putting on a show is business and a lot of other things, but the storyline part of it and the way that we present it is that it has to be along those lines of that struggle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And eventually good has to triumph, because if you look, even strictly from a scientific level, dispassionate as you can, the universe is kind of tilted towards rebirth and good and renewal and repair. You see what I'm saying? And this ain't got shit to do with morals. It's just science. It's science. It's chemistry. It's astronomy. We see the cycles are based on renewing. You see what I'm saying? A replenishing. Even when it seems like there's a point in the cycle where everything is fucking totally annihilated, but that just kind of clears off the stuff that is not useful at that point in time.
Death and rebirth, Yeah,
and then but it comes a point in time where death is useful, and you shake that shit off too. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
that's pretty much what we own. That's what I'm on in professional wrestling. And since I pay for the checks, and hey, it's what I say is goes. I'm pretty much the boss. Me and Mook go back and forth, but that's the story that we must tell in order for it to work. You know what I'm saying? And we can spice it up and hang whatever clothes you want on it. But the bones of the story, the DNA of the story has to be the same. Yeah.
Man, I love that. I love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. It makes me wonder what was your introduction to those stories? Like, in other words, like, were there these kinds of narratives that you grew up with? Like, I know that in the South, a lot of that comes from like, the Bible. We're introduced to the Bible and like a very specific form of Christianity growing up. But was that the first time that you were introduced to some of these narratives, or what is it that ended up drawing you to that?
Okay, the stories in the Bible are all very, very powerful in my life, even though I am no longer like think about them in the same ways that I did.
Sure.
But
that's growth.
But they're still very powerful because I think that they're talking about universal things, right?
Yep.
So that was my first introduction to them. but also we get another introduction to those same. See, man, this is so great because all of the good shit is liberally. It's like nature is so liberal. So if you don't get it in church, you can get it in Sunday morning cartoons. G.I. Joe was a big one. He-Man was a big one. Comic books are big. Even Aesop's fables and fairy tales, like all of these tales that are telling you that, okay, the world is good as it is, but it's not quite what it seems. And there's another path that you can take if you want
it's
to.
Not what it seems.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
Not what it's great how it is. Like if you just stayed on the level of this physical reality and you just kind of ate, slept, drink, made babies and whatnot, it will still be fine because it's okay because that's the function of this place. But there is another path if you want to go that way. You know what I'm saying? But both paths have like very dangerous perils to them for your life. So choose wisely. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So choose wisely. And at times you will slip back forth. Have you ever read Herman Hesse's Siddhartha?
Oh yeah, like, I think in high school possibly.
Yeah, man. So that's the kind of how he starts off one way, then he goes in search of one thing, then he finds something completely different, and then at the end of the story, he's back where he started from, but with a wider sense of wisdom. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You get to grow up. And that's one thing that I think that mainstream religions has done a terrible job at is letting people grow up. Like this idea of a heavenly father without the right context is absolutely crippling to your psyche and your development to grow up spiritually. You can never do, because everything is always coming from somewhere else outside of you. You don't get to take responsibility for anything in your life, good or bad. You kind of have a infantile idea of these forces in the universe, which they don't have personalities. It's not like a giant genie. You know what I'm saying? This shit is dispassionate. There's a reason why back in the day, you don't see the blind justice that much anymore, but justice was always blinded. And all representations of that type of energy, it was always blindfolded, meaning dispassionate. This shit is going to happen to you if you fall out of line, no matter who you are. No respect of persons. But now, we come and we can intercede like, oh, please help me, Sky Daddy, and somehow justice is averted. You know what I'm saying? But that's not really how it really is as we see the world. People can be delusional as they want to, but good shit happen to bad people and bad shit happen to good people because of the way that their mind is lined up. It's not based on like some morality tale and you get granted with blessings like some magical Santa Claus is running around rewarding you for your good deeds. No, it's like universal law. And if you step inside of universal law, it doesn't mean if you're good or bad. It just means that you line up in truth on the inside and the outside. And that means that open a path for you. You see what I'm saying?
It's a false sense of acceptance that you get from deities when to be accepted by a deity, you have to behave a certain way. And I feel like people never explained to me, I feel like I came to a place in life where I understood like, hey, this really doesn't matter. This narrative of whatever this deity is serving his purpose, like it can exist in whichever way you need it to exist, but just like get quiet and get inside yourself and spend some time like letting the universe tell you how it's operating and how you can tap into that. Yeah.
And for me, a lot of time it's kind of that harmonic resonance. Emotions are a huge, they are a big way in which we interface with the outside world, in which way we can, but we have our emotions and our triggers kind of manufactured in a way with what we agree on in society and what's good and what's bad, which might not be right for everybody. So our ways of contacting with our emotions, especially as men, have been greatly hijacked. And meditation and getting quiet is one way of working your way back to a sense of grounding or getting your frequency back in line with what it's supposed to be. Because I believe, and there is great evidence that on the inside of you, there is a perfect copy of who you're supposed to be. You dig what I'm saying? Like all of the ways that, your good traits and your bad traits in complete balance that exists. You see what I'm saying? It never goes away. It can't be changed because it's a fucking singular thing. You see what I'm saying? So, so getting quiet in meditation exposes you to that energy, right?
Yes.
Because just like the psychology of free will, you see what I'm saying? You can choose to listen to the chatter that's going on, like with your personality, which is not, your personality is not a unified thing. It's like a heap of parts. It's something that's, it's a composite. So guess what? The first thing about a composite is that it's not real in the sense of, in the sense of being like, having a singular function. You got different things working together with different aims and different purposes. And so shit can get haywire if you're not locked into what you're supposed to be doing. And so
because you get this kind of information from people like since the moment that you're born. You get bombarded with information about yourself from the world around you. Like you're either pretty or you're not, you're smart or you're not, you're somewhere in the middle, you know, you're really good at maybe doing this one thing as a kid and people tell you that, or you have a temper, you know what I mean? Like you blow your shit a few times and not all of a sudden like, well, you're the guy that gets angry or you're the guy that your dad didn't accept the way that you were. You're the girl that got kicked out of the house. You get all this information from people, and at some point in your life, you have to realize that like the information that we're getting, we're internalizing in a way that we can choose to unlearn those things. I feel like this is what you're saying. This is like you're greater than the information you've received about yourself.
Everything that you think ain't true.
Everything
that you think ain't true. And most of the times when you tap into the feeling, it's tied to an event that happened a long time ago. That's one of those, you have these events in your life that make kernels. They have such an impression on you that that some of your energy get wrapped around it to protect yourself from doing that shit again. And over time, it's still sending out those signals, but it's some shit that happened when you was a little kid and you didn't have the optics to understand all of the shit that was going on. So we running around reacting the same way we did as children. And that's why we get caught up in the bullshit. So I have been trying, because one of my big triggers is getting in trouble with quotation marks around it. Because I was a child that was raised under the idea of spare the rod, spoil the child. So we got our ass beat for everything under the sun. You know what I'm saying? And my parents, God bless my parents, they did the best that they could, but we wasn't a financially, like, we didn't ever get lights cut off or nothing like that, but it was no extra money for the other shit.
Sure. You
see what I'm saying? And so it was a lot of denial out of necessity. Mama, can we have that? We ain't got that. You got that type of money, you know, that type of shit. It wasn't like a cruel or anything unloving. It was just the reality of the economic situation didn't allow for the childish wants to always be taken care of. You know what I'm saying? We did get shit, but it wasn't like always. And sometimes you can internalize stuff as a little kid, and maybe kids are cruel, and we didn't wear the high-priced sneakers, and we wore hand-me-downs to school. So sometimes you get picked on and things of that nature. But all of these things are talked about inside of this grand story that we've been talking about, right? You get to understand, and there's so many different holy stories around the world. You can see there's a story for every little personality quirk and how it was created, and what you need to watch out for to kind of not fall into that path of what you need to do to correct it. You see what I'm saying? They got these stories like it's spread across. And now we tell these stories like in the Marvel movies, which I think are some of the best. That's mythology right there. Those stories are. Those movies, like if you get down into like the archetypes that they're dealing with and the ethos that they're trying to get across to the people that are taken in this movie, I think that a lot of people don't have a lot of faith for the future coming, right? I kind of, I let those ostriches bury their head in the sand. You know what I'm saying? People it looks kind of crazy on the outside, but that's only because people that in America, we found out that the folks can make a lot of money off of chaos. And if it's like impending doom, they can just keep the shit going. And so that's just the energy frequency that we own right now, because
fear is a motivator.
It's a motivator, and it's going to get you paid. You know what I'm saying? And they know that. The folks know that. The people who are like directing all of the media, they know that, and that's what they kind of counting on in order to stay where they are. But natural law or natural kind of movement of nature goes a certain way. And it's not, if it does spiral down, it hits a certain point and it comes back up.
Yes.
Naturally, directly to the top. And I think that the world is, we gonna be okay, man, because we just got our ass kicked. Like the entire world just got our ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? Like for a year. And we're still getting our ass kicked. And if we can hold on and kind of trust in the things that brought us here, like science and health care, brought us out of the dark ages where we was dying at 35 because of infected tooth. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like it was some things that we kind of breezed past that were death warrants back then. Chicken pox was killing people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
People scratching themselves to death.
Literally getting infected and dying.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like there was a point in time where we just didn't have it as well as we have it these days. You know what I'm saying?
What is it like to be born into that reality where everything is so, where your whole, like your world compared to the world that you and I live in right now is so incredibly volatile? Like you're so much more likely to get your head chopped off with a sword, to die from a tooth infection, like what you're talking about, like to end up with like massive amounts of sexual trauma before you're even 14. It makes me grateful to be able to live even in our own set of problems and issues that we have right now. I think in some way,
I feel like there are drawbacks and benefits to living in each. Like right now, we are living in a time where that stuff still is going on. And some of that stuff still is going on. But I think that we are also at a time like that we are less connected to the natural cycles and rhythms that we are a part of.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like we are kind of vibrating, kind of out of sync and out of whack. And that's why you can have somebody like you. That's why, you can have everything and not feel great. And that's why we have so many people like on drugs in this country. And it's not just about like they're fucking they're just partiers and debauchery and they just don't care. No, it's self-medication. It's trying a way to kind of dull some of these psychic and spiritual blows that we catch spiritual beatdowns on the daily from the advertisement that tells us that we ain't shit if we don't have this product. You hear this beat down in your head like over and over and over again on several levels. Like I got to go to work so I can do this, because if I don't have this, this, and this, then I ain't shit. And that's just, and it's all it's coming from a root vibration of you're not good enough. You see what I'm saying? And that's like what everybody done been tuned into. So even if we are good enough, it's hard to feel that unless you have all of the little shit that tells you that you're good enough. You got your house, you got your car, you got the woman, you got this, you got that. And now it's like, and now it's more about, it used to be just like celebrities was worrying about how they can influence people that they didn't know. Now it's just regular people trying to influence people that they didn't know. So you got a lot of like psychic noise, especially if you are on social media in any way, shape, or form. So it's harder to hear. Like the ancients are the people where we came from, they could hear, they could like listen, because there was no chatter of, buy this and you got to get this MIDI pack or, all it wasn't any of that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we have all of this stuff, but we are kind of, our sensitivity and we are much more clumsy for having all of our technology and the way that we communicate on the outside. It's all external ways of
just creating noise. Everybody has a megaphone, and we're so much more likely to share noise than we are good vibrations with each other, I feel like. Well,
that's because if you listen to your inner voice or your self-talk, you know what I'm saying? Social media is very interesting to me. I think that like if you look at people's pages, they kind of, even if you try to conceal who you are, you can get pretty much a good grip on who this person is trying to make you believe them. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You can figure that out, and that tells you a lot about a person. Like, who do you want me to believe you to be?
See, that's what I think. That's one of the reasons I have such a hard time, like engaging daily with social media, because I know it's bullshit. Because like even in my own mind, it's like I don't want to be feeding into, I don't want to be feeding into that egoic part of myself that's constantly wondering what everybody else is thinking about me. Comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yes.
So doing that over and over again, it's essentially like the more that I decide to be active in social media, I feel like on the same token, I'm deciding to become way in my head about about how the world is perceiving me.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, like, it shouldn't change who I am, what people think of me. But all of a sudden now you're wielding this hammer, and it's really hard to not hit yourself with it when you come up on the backswing.
Yeah. I think that for me, I see social media as being a tool. You know. I try to remind myself that anything that I say out of my mouth, right?
Yeah.
Speaking, like if you took the Eagle's view and went up to a satellite and saw this shit from the highest view, anything that I say out of my mouth, no matter what kind of words, even if it's talking about something true, is bullshit because it's not the thing that I'm talking about. So first of all, we already in abstracts when we even start talking about language anyway. Or typing or all of this shit. It's not really saying what you wanted to say anyway. So we have to take all of this shit with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? And knowing it's like me, like I do my smoke breaks and I try to tell the truth as much as I can, but I know that it's bullshit too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bullshit too at the same time. So if somebody don't watch it or don't look at it or they make fun of it, then I got a little bit of detachment from it. Like, oh, well, there's that fucking ape. You know what I'm saying? There's that ape that follows like the god of the Egyptian god of writing around, follows him around and kind of tells and makes fun of him because everything that he's communicating is going to get misunderstood because the vehicle is impure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the social media vehicle is, so anything that you put on there is bullshit. First of all, that's the first thing that you have to say in your mind is this is complete bullshit. Even though I try to get a point across or whatever it is, it's complete bullshit because it's put on like an illusionist.
But do you think the intention has anything to do with that?
Yes, the intention has everything to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And you have to feed yourself the truth in order to have the right intentions. You see, because
you're not thinking whenever you start to do a smoke break that you're just trying to put some more bullshit out into the world. You're trying to cut through that. You know what I mean? I'm
trying to cut through that, but I also have to know that with me trying to cut through that, I am deep inside of I'm as deep in the bullshit as everybody else because I'm using the same tools. We in the same space. We in the same area, but I'm just here to say, hey, there's a way that we can think about it a little bit differently. You know, your head up a little bit. And sometimes that's really all that a person needs or anything needs is just that little breath. Because everything that you see that now, everything that's going to be in the future and everything that ever was in the past came from that bink.
Yeah.
And that's as close as we're going to get to any kind of truth about it. You know what I'm saying?
You're zoomed out enough to see your part in the play, right?
I try to, but sometimes, right, we haven't worked through all of our little issues and I'm still feeling fucked up because I was embarrassed that I didn't have the right answer in third grade and the little girl laughed at. So every time I don't get 300 views or I don't get these, you know, I'm retracting myself back into the third grade again. And I gotta like chop the head off of that feeling. You see what I'm saying?
Back and forth, like what we were talking about the Siddhartha thing earlier. Yeah. But I feel like when I see the trajectory that you're on, I almost have a trust or a desire for you, or almost a faith that you'll end up with that wisdom no matter where you know what I mean? Like you're going to end up at the end of the book, at the end of your book. Anyway, you're going to end up with that wisdom there.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I have found that is tremendous and it gets a lot of flack sometimes is positive mental attitude.
Yes. PMA.
Yes, man. You know what I'm saying? What was his name? Vincent Norman Foster Peale. Vincent Norman Peale. One of these guys. Yeah. I forget, but you know, he's an old guy back in the day. Basically, you can determine what your life is going to look like by manually programming your mind to think towards the life that you want to see. Yeah. Let's put it like this. Harmony is a powerful thing. And if you can harmonize your thoughts, right, with your goals in the future and with the way that you walk today, then the shit's gonna happen every single time. It's kind of compelled to. And then when you start adding the mastery of your emotions, where you can start kind of bringing up and conjuring these great feelings of like love and affection and attraction even towards your goals, then like the angels, quote unquote, powerless to not help you. They rush to your aid. You see what I'm saying? And like things change. You know what I'm saying? You start having the right ideas. You start meeting the right people. You start doing the right things. You know what I'm saying? You start making your fucking bed up in the morning. You start like caring about what you eat, and different stuff changes. Like you get drawn towards your purpose. So, but a lot of times it's hard to do that because we got too much to do. And we don't have a chance or a luxury to kind of think about the higher functions of the mind. Yes. You see what I'm saying? Like when you're thinking about the higher functions of the mind, when you're trying to figure out like, how did all of this existence come into existence? Or when you're trying to figure out, how can I be a better person? How can I tap in to the greatness that's inside of me? Then your vibration raises. So that means that the things in your life get more sublime. That means you go from like the story of Joseph in the Bible. Yeah. Remember that story? Oh, yeah. How he stayed on that high mindset. He was always thinking about the higher things. No matter what happened to him, his mind was on, look at his dreams, the stars, and, the wheat. It was like he was going to be, he was destined for great things, and his mind always stayed locked in on that. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so if you can stay locked in on your purpose, no matter how the outside world look, even if it makes you look crazy, then you increase your chances so much more. The things that you're looking for are going to actually show up in your life. Yeah. And then once you start adding like the imagination and being able to close your eyes and see in detail the thing that you want, or then that's magic. You know what I'm saying? That's magic. Yes. And that's what is always being alluded to when Jesus say, this is how you pray. Go into your go into your closet. You know what I'm saying? The inside and the outs, you know what I'm saying? If a man be, a man is how he thinketh. So, all of these it's alluding to all of this in the Bible. Yes, the eyes are the lamp of the body. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? How are you perceiving the world around you? Exactly. So all of these little tricks of the trade, the people, especially me, I don't get 100% accuracy. But a lot of times after I lose my shit or fuck up real bad, if I'm receptive to those, because the only reason that you should have a feeling of guilt or a feeling of remorse is to allow you to see the error of your ways. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's not a place for you to live. It's not a place for you to stay. It's a feeling that allows you to see the error of your ways so that you can correct, adjust what's just letting you know that something is disrupted. That's right. And you can go back and fix it. But a lot of people, but a lot of folks, and we are all a part of this, especially in America, where nothing is anybody's fault. It's always somebody else's. It's Trump's fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Bloods' fault. It's the Crips' fault. It's the gays' fault. It's the straights' fault. It's man's fault. It's woman's fault. It's white. It's black. It's this. It's that. So we always are kind of pointing the finger out because, we are all special and we all have great intentions and we're all, that's what we're told, you are all the children of God. But it's like we have to remember that sometimes that feeling, or, if you don't know and you're walking around, and these are blind forces that you keep knocking yourself into, you bumping up against laws of nature. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, the bumps is kind of correcting you. It's just like, it's mechanical almost. You know what I'm saying? But it's so clumsy to even say that. I totally hear what you're saying. I fucking love all of this. Because it's not really mechanical. It's not really mechanical. Let's just say that there are, it's like a radio station tuning in the dial on the frequency. Are you trying to make a patch? Yes. And you're not patching in the right place. You're not on the right. So you're not getting the sweet sound. It's not harmonic. Yes. It's actually kind of making you feel uncomfortable because you're not in your lane. You ain't staying in your lane. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So if more people, and then there was a saying in the Gospel of Thomas, one of the apocryphal books, where Jesus said, if you bring out what is in you, it'll give you life everlasting. If you do not bring out what is in you, it will kill you. If you don't resonate on the frequency that you supposed to, because we all like sent here like beams of light. That's why we got birthdays, and your parents are definitely prophets on the time that they name you, because your name definitely got a value with harmonics and vibration. And it means something. All of these things that people laugh at, you know what I'm saying? Because is seen as weird, or what you gonna do? Be burning a bunch of shade sticks? But now your birthday and the energy behind that, and all of these things in this solar system, and the environment that we in this thing, space, shit matters, man. It matters. Like it's the frequencies that are here. Well, all a part of these frequencies. You don't get to escape from it. You know what I'm saying? And it goes all the way down to the music, to the colors, everything. Man, it's a certain prescription for your life. And you can find that out if you find out the words of the wise. And I'm not here to tell you what that is, but it's out there for you. And the key, and a lot of the keys to it is in your name, and then your birthday, and then your passions. You know what I'm saying? Your true passions. And you can look at these things, and you can find out where you fit in all of this stuff.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can find out a harmonious way to be in the world,
Yes, absolutely. Dude, I feel like I could have this conversation with you until I fell asleep, until it was absolutely impossible for me to have it with somebody anymore. I love your thoughts. I love the way that your mind works. I love the way that you have the ability to sort of condense all of these metaphors into very pointed and effective rhetoric. I know that because of the time that we have on the podcast, I have to ask you music questions.
Okay.
And if I don't start doing it now, I'll just sit here and listen to you talk for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is amazing. I mean, going back to what you were talking about with passions, I would love to know what that origin is for you when it comes to music. Was there a specific artist when you were growing up that you kind of saw yourself in, you saw your vibrations in?
Yeah, man. I always loved rap music. So we used to run home from school, Yo MTV Raps in Rap City. This is way back in the 80s. We would run home from school to my grandma's house, because that's where we went when my parents was at work. So we'd run down to and watch Yo MTV Raps. Later on in time, man, I always loved rap music. We always listened to it. Me and my brothers listened to it at the house. And so I got in trouble when I was 16 and went to jail. And there was these two cats in there, Baby D and Ty. They was from Charlotte. And they used to beat on the wall and rap. And there was another homeboy that's from Asheville, Carl Bruton. And they all used to rap. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was enthralled, and I wanted to do it so bad. So I would just sit and try to write little rhymes, and that was the first origin of it, me wanting to be a part of something that was rhythmic. It was rhythmic. It was like, and then there was a brotherhood, and not only a brotherhood, but a kind of a competition that pushed you to kind of be better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it was rough when I first started. Man, I had a difference at that point in time. This was 94.
Oh wow.
So I went to prison, and like the East Coast was very dominant. Like the guys that was in prison that was rapping, they was all like New York, New Jersey type of flavor, East Coast. But I used to love the West Coast music and the South music. You know what I'm saying? So I came from a completely different way of rapping, and I got roasted a lot when I would get into ciphers, and they would be like, "Man, you sound like this, you sound like that." They would just laugh, but it kind of put a fire in my belly to stay true. You know what I'm saying? To kind of being the guy from the South. Yeah. And liking the music that I like. My daughter, okay, there you go. Yeah, it's always good, man. That lets me know not to be so serious about all of this shit. But absolutely. Time went on, and I just stayed on it, and then I ended up getting pretty good. That on another time that I went to prison, and I was actually one of the guys. We used to rap on the yard, and I used to make a lot of canteen beating people in battles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And around that time, when I came home, that time I had a son. This was in 99. I I had a son, and I was working with my main man, Jose Jackson. Shout out to Jose. Now he's the owner of the Haywood Lounge. Go and get some of the wings. And we used to. He had a little Zoom. He had a little Zoom 234, and he used to make these beats on it, and we would rap and record it. You know what I'm saying? God, I forget what was we recording on. I think it was a Tascam. Yeah, it was a Tascam. It had the little small tapes, and that's what we was recording on. And we recorded a bunch of songs, and I ended up going to prison again, and just keep going back to jail and rapping and writing shit and coming home. And me and my brother, this was 05. By this time, it was 05. Me and my brother had recorded a single, and we had a bunch of copies pressed up, and we was pushing it around the city. But then I got locked up again. You know what I'm saying? And came home 2012, and had a new attitude. You know what I'm saying? I think that I was being prepared because I didn't have all the other times that I went to prison. The first 3 times I was completely like I was all for it. It was just a part of the game. You know what I'm saying? And we was going back to get some more. But the last time I had a kid, and it was a lot more shit to lose, and I lost a lot. And so I kind of was able to have the great fortune of meeting people along the path who were some spiritual friends who was able to kind of introduce me to some different ways of thinking about stuff. And then they introduced me to some materials that was able to kind of help shape me. And then learning like meditation was a big thing for me, and I still practice every day. But, I came home in 2012, and that was like do you remember what some of those materials were, and if they stuck with you now? Yeah, man. There was a book called Everybody's Doing Time, or We're All Doing Time, by a guy named Bo Lozoff. And Bo got a little flack in the last few years, like most people who run spiritual organizations. They end up, by the end, they end up kind of abusing people, and they always got their dick in the wrong place, and kind of that kind of happens. But the book was instrumental because it was like a book that was made for prisoners about very simple but effective meditation techniques. Yeah, and so that kind of stuck with me, and then another thing that I discovered in there was tarot. Tarot is hugely instrumental in my life. I would say that is my spirit. That's like my spiritual practice, and what I really I deal with it every single day. And it's who taught you that, or how did you come to an understanding of that? I had met a guy named Jesse Walker, man. Shout out to Jesse Walker, man. He doing 20 years for murder, but he was into ceremonial magic. You know what I'm saying? And I've always been kind of interested in Crowley and the Golden Dawn and all of different things. And so we was kind of talking about that a little bit. And he was dealing with tarot cards, just trying to learn the deck, and I was like enthralled. I couldn't get my mind. They kind of stuck with me, but I understand why that is now. Anybody who kind of messes with a tarot deck is going to get inside of you because it's a pictorial of the way that things. It's like a pictorial book of the way it symbols of the way that things really work in the universe. Like this is not any conjecture. This is not somebody just trying to tell you something. This is 100% the real way it is, but you can't talk about it, and you can't really write a book about it. So you have to put it in symbolic forms. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so that has been able to speak to me, because I'm kind of an iconoclast. You know what I'm saying? I really try to look for the bullshit and exposing it so I can dispose of it, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do any practice. I just want to kind of be, you know what I'm saying? So I spend an inordinate amount of time trying to disprove things so I don't have to do it. But with this, I couldn't disprove it by any way, shape, or it's bulletproof as a means of the divination is okay. That's whatever. That's the flashy part of it. It doesn't really mean anything. But the insight on your psychological structure. Yes. In the ways that different stimulus affects you is like, I'm still like, I continue to study it. When I get to the end of what I figure, my little process of what I do, I start back over. It's not even something that I get to the end of. It's just a constant study. And that was something that was very instrumental. Meditation and tarot, and also even though I'm not on the wagon anymore, the AA program, man, just to being able to go in there and be honest with a whole group of people who can have their own ideas about what you're saying. Just the practice and being courageous with telling your shit the way it is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That was instrumental. Even though I don't go to meetings anymore, we still try, in my household and with my close friends, we still try to keep that same level of honesty. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I guess that's why my circle is so small, because there's very few people that people really can be honest with without it hurting you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So these were things that were really important for you. Thank you so much for going into detail into what those things were. That would be exactly what I would want to hear if I was listening to to this podcast. But so to get you back on to 2012. You get all of these kind of resources, and then you have a 2012 experience, and it seems like that might have been a turning point for you.
Yeah, man, I came home. I got out of prison, and at this time I have a 14-year-old son. I'm not married anymore. I gotta my eyes are wide open for the first time in my life. I'm not actively pursuing a whole criminal lifestyle. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
So but it's everything that I kind of dreamed of, because I dreamed about this life when I was in there for 80 months. I dreamed about this life, and I made steps toward it and made plans, and things started falling into place. I was able to come home immediately to a good job. You know what I'm saying? I was immediately able to kind of find resources where I could record music. I was able to kind of get into, I was kind of able to get into the groove of the music scene in the city pretty quickly. I was just very blessed to be able to kind of come and be a part of everything that was going on.
Do you feel like it's because your energy changed?
Yeah, man. I'm not going to say it's because my energy changed. It was because I had a direct purpose, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do instead of whatever happens going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just floating back to what I was used to doing. I made a real effort to follow the plans that I had made. And then I also kind of took responsibility. I was able to be blessed with a mind that was able to take responsibility and see that I was not always right, that I didn't have all the answers, that it wasn't his fault, it wasn't her fault, it was my fault, and it was on me to fix it. That's a blessing, because until you get to that point, you can't change anything. You know what I'm saying? And so I was blessed to be able to get to that point as well. And then when I came home, things started falling into play. I was blessed to meet my musical partner, Motherhood, who is also on Robots Win. Great guy, Cliff.
Yeah, Brian, he's been on the show before.
Yeah, man, that's my musical partner. And I was blessed to meet him in 2013. No, it was in 2012. We met at a Big Crit show, and we didn't make any music together. Well, he sent me a couple beats. I put on a tape in 2014, but it just didn't connect. 2015, we started making music together. Yeah. And we didn't drop. It took us a while to drop the first tape, but after we dropped that, we had a few in succession. And I was very, very lucky to have some ideas and to have some people who had good ideas to help me, because I was going by. Because my son is Dave, I'm Dave, so I was Big Dave, he Little Dave, so I was rapping under that name.
Right.
And I was very lucky to have this concept of Spaceman Jones kind of bubble up inside of my head.
Yeah.
Because it completely changed how the energy that I was able to put into music,
Absolutely.
And so that happened, and I was on the radio for it seems crazy the amount of things that's happened since 2012. And I was on the radio for 5 years, did the Open Door radio show on 103.3, and we did that for 5 years, and we interviewed a ton of local artists, and we played a ton of local music, just trying to get these guys, especially the rappers, man, just trying to get them some light. And that was great. Yes. And then being able to perform all over town and be critically acclaimed, that people just dig the music that we make at Spaceman Jones and the Mothership so much. It's just like, I look back on it and I'm like, wow, we was able to do something that people really cared about. Because, you know, we may not have 20,000 fans, but the fans that we do have truly engage with our music. And I wouldn't trade those guys for nothing in the world. You know,
absolutely.
They engage with everything. They buy all of our stuff. They support us. They come to our shows. They give us feedback. They listen to the album more than once. Thank you so much for that. Because I put Easter eggs in all of the raps, man. So you got to put a few times to catch it. But yeah, man. So we've been very lucky. Very lucky and very fortunate to be able to still connect with people anyway. You know how hard it is to gain an audience.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It feels impossible when you're starting out.
Yeah. And then like we don't make the rap music that is necessarily on the radio. You know, our BPMs are like 80, 82, 88. We use a lot of boom bap and samples, and I'm not rapping very fastly. I using melodics in my rhymes. I don't auto-tune. It's kind of it's an older form. You know what I'm saying? To have people still connect with us and to be able to win things like Mountain Express, Best Of, when you got so many other talented people out there with bigger followings. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just, it's kind of has me like, what? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I'm very happy with what we've been able to do, and we do have new music coming out. We have a vinyl release that we're going to do 2 7-inch releases, and it's going to be called The Loops of Life. It's going to be Volume 1 and Volume 2, and then we have a digital EP as well that we're going to release called Forever in a Day.
Yeah.
And we're looking to start releasing music maybe next month sometime. We're just waiting on the records to come in and figure out, you know, our marketing scheme and whatnot, because we've been told that we need to step up our marketing. So
that's like every musician gets told that every 3 months because everything is so fucking nuts. Oh my God. There's always a new thing to learn or a new platform you're supposed to be a part of or new best practice. Well, dude, I just want to say I think it's really cool. I love that in particular, like the Asheville, North Carolina community has kind of reached out to high five you in those ways with those awards, with that sort of recognition.
Yeah. Well, and Cliff too, because he makes
Yeah, absolutely. But that feels good. Almost like it's the difference between having a whole lot of people who don't really know you. They're just sort of topically interested in you, stream your music, and then having your family who you really want to connect with, who you really feel like you're representing who they are and where they come from, to sort of reach back and give you that affirmation. That has to feel good.
I mean, it feels great. It feels great, but we really want to try to keep what we're doing as what we're doing. You know, we had some opportunities to make some records with some like bigger producers, and it would have changed everything that and so we decided we're gonna kind of chill out on that. We're just gonna stick with what we do because we got a good recipe. And I think that this year we'll be able to put out some pretty compelling content for y'all. We've been super honest in trying to make the music be a representation of who we are as people, you know. And so let's hope that the trend hasn't died and that people still will be able to connect with what Spaceman Jones and the Motherships has to offer.
I would not doubt that at all.
Yeah, man. That's
headed your way.
Let's hope so. I've also been producing for a lot of artists, getting the beats out there, and it's kind of cool to be on that side of it a little bit. And so SK the Novelist, me and him are working on a few joints together. There's an artist by the name of Jerusalem out of Durham who I'm been working with a little bit. A guy named Sarap Fresh out of Charlotte. Just been getting the beats out there, man. And also Big V from Hendersonville, man, he was on I did a trap tape called Southern Exposure, and he was a feature on the song Get That Bag with me and him are gonna put out an entire EP called Spaceman Jones and Big V are the official. So the official will be dropping soon. You know, we're working on those tracks right now. It'll be all produced by me, and me and him will be rapping on it.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, dude, we have totally gone the time. And I wish I didn't have to be as respectful of your time, because I would just take up all of it. But is there anything? I feel like what I would really love to hear from you specifically is sort of what advice you would give to people that feel really, that are artists, that feel like they have that thing you're talking about inside of them, that feel like they have that energy that it's either going to kill them or they're either going to let it out of them and let it take them somewhere, especially coming out of 2020 with all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
That if you are a creator, you are an artist type, it might have hit you a little bit more intensely because you're a feeler and you're feeling a lot of things going on. Do you have any sort of words of wisdom or encouragement for that kind of person?
Make sure that if you have a dream of making money off of your art, that you are fucking incredible at what you do. And if you're not fucking incredible at what you do, you're going to be very, very dissatisfied with the results. So practice your ass off and get incredible at what you do, and then create like you have no respect for the results of the art. You know, if you want to make money, you got to be about your art. You got to be fucking incredible. You know what I'm saying? And practice your ass off, get good at what you do, get inside of what you do, learn about it, like let it become something that you can't stop thinking about. You know what I'm saying? You're probably already obsessed with it, but if you're not like working on your chops, you're not going to be able to articulate this energy that's inside of you. It's always going to be clumsy. So you got to get back to the kung fu, which is daily practice. Yes. You know what I'm saying? If you believe that you can write great songs, and you need to be writing them songs every day. You need to be writing. If you feel like you're a great rapper, you need to be rapping every day. If you feel like you're a great beat maker, you need to be making beats every day. You need to get down into it, because you can't get great without putting the hours in. And that's what's going to sell the stuff that you want to sell. But if you're not interested in making music, making money, then play and do what you do until you get that feeling inside of your heart that is healing you. You see what I'm saying? Yes. If you're not trying to make money, you better be making art to heal yourself.
Yes.
You know, and you don't have to be fucking incredible at that. All you just have to be is honest with yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's going to be restorative in and of itself. But if you're trying to make money, then bro, go practice.
Go practice. Oh my gosh, I love it. That's so awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna make sure that everybody has links in the show notes to where they can get to you and all the different stuff that you're involved with, and some Spotify links and whatnot. But dude, thank you so much for spending time with us on 11D Life. Yeah, I'm so happy for this time that we got to spend together.
Man,
I have a lot of things to think about walking away from this conversation. So, man,
this was cool, man. Thank you for allowing me to come in and do one of my favorite things, which is just run my mouth about the shit that I do. I will forever be there for that. But thank you very much, man. We really appreciate you reaching out. This was fun.
11D Life is a production of